So hi and welcome to another video, and today we're going to be taking a look at this EasySMX mouse here, which is a budget mouse, and we're going to go through the same tests that I normally put all my mice through to get a good understanding of how this performs. EasySMX have sent me this mouse to take a look at, but that won't change my view on the mouse, as you know this anyway, and you'll be able to compare all the stats to other mice on my Beardedbob.com website. And as you know, I put a new voting system to allow you lot to decide which videos you want to see and help me prioritize the ones that I'm going to do going forward. All the links to everything that I talk about in this video will be in the description, so let's get on with it. So this mouse comes in at a very good price of $7.99 or $9.99 US. So it's certainly in the budget range, and it's going to be interesting to see how this performs against the other mice and using the same tests that I use on premium mice like the v18 that I did recently or the Zowie S2. So if you've been following me, you'll know that I use a force gauge meter. I also use measurements to understand the different sizes of the mice in different areas. So we're going to go into some serious detail here. So grab a cup of tea, get some food, and we'll go through all the specs of this mouse in more detail than you'd normally expect from other reviewers. The challenge here for me is to make you understand every bit of this mouse so that you don't have any questions after it. So hopefully I'll do that in this video without just reading the specs of the box. So I'm going to be giving away this mouse. If you want to win it, make sure you subscribed. You put in the comments whether you're going to be using this for gaming, productivity, or just surfing the net. And check out the full description for the full rules and how to enter properly. So let's start with the shape and the design. So it's designed for a right-handed player, this mouse. It's not ambidextrous, nor is the shape leaning towards ambidextrous, as you can see. It's a 9-button combination, which to me makes it lean more towards the MMO RPG gamer here because of these buttons, but also maybe an FPS player here because of this sniper clutch option that it has. There's a hump 3/4 of the way back. The left and right mouse button are independent of the shell. There's no rubber on the sides, but it has a textured plastic to allow you to grip it slightly better. It's got a thumb rest here on the left hand side, and it's got a ring finger rest on the right hand side where it's slightly contoured. It's not RGB, but it's got a breathe in and out logo on the rear in red. It's finished in red and black, as you can see here. There's 2 plastics used. You've got a soft coated plastic on the top left right mouse buttons here, and then you've got hardened plastic on the sides. You've got clear plastic to allow the lighting to glow through on the rear as well as on the front near the scroll wheel. What's good about this mouse at this price range is it has a detachable bottom plate which hosts 5 weights that you can change to alter the weight of this mouse to your liking. And the scroll wheel's got a rubber insert into it with some arrows, which is very similar, in fact probably the same as the DM series from Dream Machine. So taking into consideration how this mouse fits my hand here, my hand is 18 centimeters by 9 centimeters, and my thumb is 5 centimeters from the knuckle. As you can see here, it does fit my hand rather well. It's certainly a good size for my hand here. So one of the things that everyone's concerned about when buying a budget mouse here is the build quality. And what I'll do in another video is a teardown of this, as I do for my other mice, to give you an understanding of how these are built. On the feel here, without taking it to pieces, is it's very solid. There's no creaks, no rattles. The sides don't squeeze in, and it's built very, very well given the price. I mean, some of the build materials are a little bit cheap. The plastic on the side where the texture is could be a little bit better. But at the end of the day, this is $7.99, so let's not expect too much from it here. So after the shape, the next important thing is the sensor. And this has a PAW3519DL, which is a Pixar imaging sensor. One of the weird things I've not seen for a very long time with this sensor is that here it glows red on the desk quite brightly. But going through the standard tests here, draw tests, everything that you would normally put a mouse through, and I'll compare it here against some other mice that I've done recently, you can see that this sensor actually performed really well. I was really impressed with how well this sensor performed. Given the price, it didn't jump around like some of them do in the budget range, and it was a steady sensor. One of the things that I could tell here is it's got a higher lift-off distance, and I expected this to affect the draw test, but it didn't seem to do it as much as I found on the v18 did, where it created some hooks. And that was using the 3360 sensor. This mouse comes set at 500 polling rate. Now Pixar do say this can get to 1000. I couldn't find out how to do this, so it might be a way to overclock it, but it's certainly set to 500 out of the box here. That's not changeable as far as I'm aware. I couldn't find how to do that. It's got interchangeable DPI modes using the top buttons here, forward and backwards. It goes at 400, 800, 1200, 1600, 2400, 3200 and 4000. So you've got a good range of DPIs there. There's no way to change it. These are just presets that you've got here. So performing the slam tests, I couldn't get this sensor to spin out, which was impressive. I thought it might do with the lift-off distance, but as you can see, it performed really well. So that's good on both a hard and a cloth surface. Going into some aim test here, I use 3D Trainer. Feel free to try and compete against me on these scores and put yours in the comments. This one came in pretty good. It came in around a 3310 sensor that I did. I think I used the DM1 Pro. I got a similar score here of 55,041. So it's not bad. You know, given the price, that's not a bad score. Most of them are around 55 to 65 that I'm getting perhaps. So this is doing pretty well here, to be fair. So getting onto the buttons here, this has got a mixture of buttons inside it, but it was good to see some decent ones in here. Prepare yourself for some butchering of names here though. The left and right mouse button are the well-known Horanu switches. I'm not sure how many clicks these are rated to. They state on their website around 3 million. But Horanu normally do a reasonably decent amount of ratings here, between 20 and 50 million. The scroll wheel is a Kahali, I think it's called. So again, another known switch manufacturer here, which is good to see. And the other ones are just miscellaneous switches that I don't recognize at all. The sniper clutch seems to drop it half. So if you're on 400 DPI, it drops it to 200 DPI, 800 to 400 DPI. This again can't be changed. But overall, because of the Horanu switches on the left and right, I was impressed with how this felt. It feels a nice crisp click that you would expect. So let's have a listen to how these sound. So another issue that people would maybe think this mouse is going to have is latency, and I did a human benchmark and that came at 187 milliseconds, which is probably around 10 milliseconds out from other mice which come in around 176. But again, this is dependent on perhaps me as well, so maybe take that into account as well. Just to back that up, I also do the flood test as well. On the left mouse button came in at 166 milliseconds, and the right mouse button came in at an average of 163 milliseconds, so it is decent. Again, it's going to sit somewhere in between those because they all rely on a bit of human timing as well, so keep that in mind. So let's see what pressure these switches require to press using the force gauge meter. The lower the number, the lighter they are, the higher the number, the harder they are to press. So the left front came in at 46, 51, 53. Gives it an average of 50 grams. The middle came in at 68, 63, 68, giving it an average of 66 grams. And the rear is 136, 123, and 116, giving it 125 grams. The right front was 54, 45, 42, gives it an average of 47 grams. The middle comes in at 88, 75, 84, giving it 82 grams average. The rear comes in at 117, 109, and 110, giving it 112 grams. The front side button is 89, 79, 84, giving it 84 grams average. The side back comes in at 63 grams, 66, and 67, giving an average of 94 grams. The scroll wheel here comes in at 181, 183, and 188, giving it an average of 184 grams. So looking here, it's got quite a light left and right mouse button here. Not the lightest, but it's certainly nowhere near the heaviest. And that's throughout all the range from front to back. The side buttons are a little bit lighter than most here. On the scroll wheel fits around where you'd expect it to be, given it's a OEM scroll wheel here. So let's move on to the weight here. As we said, this has got 5 interchangeable weights. Each weight comes in at 5.4 grams. It's nice to see this feature in this price range, and when you take all the weights out, it comes in at 79 grams, which is good to see. This is a decent weight. This is where the Logitech G Pro Wireless sits. and putting all the weights back in, it comes up to 106 grams. And if you add the cable, it comes up to 150 grams. So it's certainly around the normal weight of mice that you'd expect to see here, to be fair. There was nothing, it wasn't too light like some of the cheap ones can be, and it wasn't super heavy like some of them can be as well. So it's in a good weight range, this mouse. So let's get onto the surface here and the skates and test it across the G640 that we use as the baseline here. For the benefit of the people that haven't seen my videos, if you're still watching at this point, the NSW reading is normal rotation sideways, NFW is normal rotation forwards, RSW is rotated sideways, and RFW is rotated forwards. This gives us a reading across the pad to see if it performs differently over different areas. The lower the figure, the faster the mouse is traveling with less force, and the higher the weight, the more force is required, therefore making it more of a control mouse or feet than speed. So the first reading here was for normal sideways, and it's 40, 40, 36, giving an average of 39 grams. So the normal front readings are 46, 45, 53, giving an average of 48. Rotated sideways is 43, 44, and 45, giving an average of 44 grams. And reverse forward is 64, 51, 63, giving us an average of 59. Now, this for me is running quite slow, and that's perhaps because of the amount of surface that it's got covered on the bottom of this, because it's quite a wide mouse, and it could have probably benefited from some better skates, but again, this is in the budget range here, so you could always put your own skates on this. Something like the FK2 ones would probably go nicely on this and get that little bit of extra surface to move on, although those skates are probably the price of the mouse near enough. So let's get into the dimensions of this. In between the scroll wheel, it's slightly shorter to the rear of the mouse, and that comes in at 117.1 millimeters. The longest part of the front to the rear of the mouse, although at a slight angle here, 123.9 millimeters. The width at the rear is 66.6. The width in the middle top is 58.6 millimeters. The width in the middle at the bottom is 79.4 millimeters. And the width at the front is 63.5 millimeters. The height is at the rear is 32.2 millimeters. In the middle, it's 36 millimeters. And in the front, it's 24.1 millimeters. The button width on the left mouse button is 21.1 millimeters. And the right is 19.5 millimeters. Scroll wheel thickness is 7.7 millimeters. And the scroll wheel length is 22.1 millimeters. And the cable is 3.2 millimeters thick. So just digesting those figures here. As we said, it's quite wide at the bottom here, but that's because of this thumb rest. It's quite a reasonably profiled mouse. It's not too high here at 36 millimeters on the hump, and the scroll wheel is a decent size at 7.7 millimeters thick. So the cable itself is a little bit thick. And if we look into the cable a bit more here, it's got a very, very stiff cable here that would certainly benefit from a power cord mod, which again is more expensive than the mouse. And you can certainly tell here it's using a very cheap cable. It kind of kinks quite easily and it is quite rigid, so you'd certainly benefit from using a bungee with this mouse. Just coming at a nice length of 1.8 meters, and it is braided as well. So moving on to software now, we're nearly finished here. Again, it doesn't come with any specific software, but again, this is not going to pick on this as I would do with other mice because this is in the budget range. What they do provide you with, though, which other mice don't at higher price range, is a driver that allows you to program the buttons for macros. You can do 4 of those buttons. I personally would just use X Mouse software to customize each one and assign a key press to it and allow you to rebind those going forward. So my conclusion here, well, for $7.99, I was pretty impressed with how good this mouse performed. I don't think you can really go wrong for this price if you were in the range for a budget mouse because you haven't got much money to spend at the time. It's got a good sensor, although a little bit weird with the red laser coming out of it. The front left and right mouse buttons are well-known Harno switches, as well as the scroll wheel is well-known here as well. And overall, it's a decent mouse. My only concerns would be the cable's a little bit stiff and the skates perhaps aren't given the best smoothness in terms of speed here, but maybe you're more of a control person. The ability to adjust the weight down to 79 grams, which is what I was using it on, was certainly good. And I found it to be a decent weight and give me a reasonable score on 3D aim. So I hope this has helped you, hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you all again soon. Catch you later, bye bye.